What's going on again, everybody? Um, Once again, we're gonna go over some more painful cuts Saints have had to make, and see if we can get through these and cover some different topics. So it was announced today that the Saints had to get rid of Sheldon Rankins, defensive tackle. Uh, he stayed injured. Sometimes he got injured. I want to say on two separate occasions. So he missed a lot of time, but when he was on the field, he made his presence felt. He did a really good job in the trenches, and I guess the most memorable play I have of Sheldon Rankins was against Pittsburgh a few years ago, towards the end of the game when he tackled Juju Smith-Schuster and made him fumble the ball, and we recovered it and won the game. That's probably one of the most memorable plays of Sheldon Rankins. But again, it's another painful cut and had to be done. He was signed with somebody else. I think the New York Jets signed him, so not necessarily a cut, but another team signed him, so to speak. So yeah, that one's gonna hurt. I mean, our defensive line has kind of been depleted, especially our depth. Um, Another bit of news this week was Malcolm Brown, defensive tackle. We traded to Jacksonville, couldn't afford him anymore, and we wound up getting, I think, a seventh round pick for compensation. So the pick, depending on who it's used on, if they work out or not, could justify that trade. But nonetheless, we couldn't afford to pay Brown the money that we owed him anyway. So when you're in salary cap hell, you have a lot of painful decisions that have to be made, and that's just how it is. You can't pay everybody. And another one off the defensive line is Trey Hendrickson. So now I feel a little differently about Trey Hendrickson. Yes, he had a really good season, and before that, he stayed injured. And when he wasn't injured, he showed flashes of being really good. But I think that it really wasn't worth getting in a shootout money wise with other teams trying to re sign him because I do think he's going to stay hurt, in my opinion, not knowing much about football as other people, just as a spectator and been watching the Saints for a very long time. In my opinion, he is undersized for a defensive end. I don't know his exact dimensions, but I know he stayed hurt a lot with the Saints. This was actually, I believe, his first full season that he was able to play. So sometimes, even if a player has really good talent, if they can't stay on the field, it's almost like it doesn't even do any good. So that's three off of our defensive line right there. We still have Cameron Jordan and David Onyemata and Marcus Davenport, who to me so far hasn't lived up to where we drafted him at, and furthermore, always seems to get a roughing the passer call when he does get to the quarterback. So there's a lot of things with him that has to be cleaned up. He has a lot of potential, obviously, definitely has the size. But we'll see what happens with Marcus Davenport and see where it goes from there. Now they have a bunch of other talent on the roster. Talking about Shy Tuttle and some of these other guys, Granderson, that can bring the pressure if they can do it rotation wise, or if they can bring it every down is yet to be seen. But I think what's almost certain after these losing these three guys, what is certain is we're probably going to be drafting one or two really good defensive linemen. No, I'm serious, guys. I know we don't normally draft defensive linemen. We have, and like David Onyemata, sometimes they draft from crazy schools, but I think this time they're going to be going after some of the highest talent in the draft available at where they are picking at. They're going to be trying to land some of those defensive tackles. Now, what will frustrate me is if we pass on some of these really talented defensive linemen and then reach and draft guys that you've never even heard of. Sometimes that works out, sometimes it doesn't. But I mean, obviously Sean Payton, Mickey Loomis, they have a plan. They know more than we do. And overall, I guess you would say since they've been there, they've done fairly good job at drafting. But there has been, as with every team, I'm sure, but there has been a lot of misses and a lot of reaching in the draft. So we'll just have to wait and see how that turns out. Now, some other news. Luckily, we had another COVID violation, and luckily that Roger Goodell, who is not popular in New Orleans to say the least. Luckily, they didn't take one of our 2021 draft picks for that second COVID violation, but they did take a 2022 6th-round draft pick for that COVID violation, and they were also fined $700,000. So Roger Goodell, as always, taking it out on the Saints. I'm not sure. I have to research. I know the Oakland Raiders was also caught violating COVID protocols, and I seen something that said they were not getting penalized. I'm not sure if that's true. I'll have to look, but it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Roger Goodell has a rocky relationship with the city of New Orleans and the New Orleans Saints. Him and Sean Payton's always got into it. Um, Ever since Bounty Gate, when they came down super hard on a lot of that stuff that wasn't even necessarily proven. Ever since then, New Orleans has not embraced Roger Goodell, and they do not like Roger Goodell. He's not even allowed to come to the city. I know after the infamous no call in New Orleans in the NFC Championship game against the Rams, I know a bunch of the fans sued Roger Goodell because they wanted their season ticket money back. And when the came time for the court hearing, he said that he wouldn't come to New Orleans for the court hearing because he felt that it was unsafe. That just goes to show you how rocky the relationship is between New Orleans and Roger Goodell. But it is what it is. 6th-round pick, depending on, how it turns out. It could be really not amount to anything, or it could be significant. It's all going to depend on the situation and who would have been available. Typically, the 6th round isn't that big of a deal, but if you look throughout history, there's been a lot of really good players drafted in the sixth round, especially by the Saints. Now, I want to hit on this real quick. Jameis Winston was re-signed. Taysom did a restructure, re-sign thing where they signed him to 4 years, $140 million, but a lot of people freaked out about that. But the thing is, all 3 years this year, it lowered his salary hit because Taysom Hill was supposed to make like $16 million this year. Well, when they restructured him and converted most of it into a signing bonus, I want to say he's only going to make $7 million this year. The other 3 years are voidable. Now they re-signed Winston to a 1 year, basically $5.5 million, but if he met all the incentives, it would bump him up to $12 million. Honestly, I'm not a Winston fan, but that is a very team friendly, prove it contract. So that's good. But I will tell you that it also signals to me the fact that he only signed a 1 year deal. It also signals to me that as of now, they're not viewing him as a long term solution. people are getting all excited over Jameis Winston because he's a first round draft pick. I mean, a first number one overall pick. He's thrown for 5,000 yards before and all of this. I'm not sold on him at all. I'm not sold on Taysom Hill. And there was rumors coming out of Seattle that Seattle is going to keep Russell Wilson for one more year, that Russell Wilson is going to stay in Seattle for one more year, and that next year he's going to make his move for multiple reasons. He's going to stay there one more year. I really believe that after this coming season, the Saints are going to get Russell Wilson. I really feel that way because various outlets on YouTube channels were saying that Russell Wilson not only cares about winning more championships, he also cares about his legacy. He wants to be viewed historically as one of those top first ballot Hall of Famer outstanding quarterbacks. And the rumors coming from Seattle is that he doesn't feel that Pete Carroll's methodology of running the football, playing defense is ever going to get him to that status. So a place like New Orleans, where you have somebody like Sean Payton, who is an outstanding play caller, especially when it comes to passing the ball, pass happy offense, Russell Wilson would get essentially everything that he wants in New Orleans as far as putting up the numbers, having that elevated status to elite, even more so than he already is. So I really believe that signing Winston to a one-year deal signals to me a couple of different things. It signals that Winston is not the future of the Saints. Not that because he only signed a one-year deal, but I firmly believe that he is not, period. But the fact that they only signed him to a one-year deal, I really believe that next season, this next offseason, the Saints are going to, whether it's trade, what have you, they're going to sell the house and they're going to get Russell Wilson. And I'm pretty ecstatic about that. Russell Wilson, to me, would be a perfect fit. Not only his play, he has the arm capability to make all the throws, but he also has the character and the smarts and everything. When you start talking about replacing Drew Brees, not just the player, but the character and the leader of the team, I think Russell Wilson would perfectly fill that role. So those are some things that I hope happens next year. So now I want to address something real quick as well. A lot of people are saying that I noticed on Facebook and other places that if you don't like, they're implying that if you don't like Jameis Winston, that somehow you are racist. So my thoughts on that, I want to address that because I'm going to share this video in one of those Saints groups. So hopefully the people that have implied that will understand something. If somebody, sports has always been a place that transcends racism. Or it's something that brings people together from all different backgrounds and everything. When you're talking about football and you're talking about a quarterback, whether you want this person or that person or what have you, race has nothing to do with it. If you look at, and now people brought up good points. They said, well, if you look at Jameis Winston's stats and you compare him to Peyton Manning's first 5 years in the NFL, Peyton Manning had 100 interceptions in his first 5 years. Okay, those are good arguments that you can make. If you compare his stats to a lot of the really good quarterbacks, his stats look similar to those quarterbacks. They brought up Brett Favre, Drew Brees, and they put up the stats. Those are fair points. But Drew Brees brought the San Diego Chargers to the playoffs. They were 12-4. Drew Brees showed all of the things that it takes to be a really good quarterback. and then he grew and matured and got better coaching, and he developed into the player that we knew. Peyton Manning brought the Colts to the playoffs. Brett Favre won a Super Bowl. I don't know what year, but it probably was close to his first 5 seasons. We could talk about stats. If you want a quarterback that will put up stats, and that's why I always ask, what's the bar? What's the bar of success for Jameis Winston? Is it we have just a winning record, regardless if we make the playoffs or not? Is it, well, if we make the playoffs, then he had a successful season? Or is the goal a Super Bowl? Because I've said it before, I'll say it again, whether it be Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill, the Saints are going to win some games. We're about to go through the schedule here in a minute. The Saints are going to win some games. But what's the bar, okay? I mean, if Jameis Winston plays and he plays well and he has, let's say, 30-something touchdowns to only 12 interceptions or whatever and 4,500 yards and, something like that, then that's a really good season. You would have to give him his credit and say that he had a really good season. But I'm going to fairly evaluate his play throughout the season. I strongly feel that, yes, he's going to win some games, but I strongly feel that he is going to lose us some games single-handedly. Now, another thing that you have to take into account is we've lost a lot of talent on the defensive side of the ball. Also on the offensive side of the ball, but primarily on the defensive side of the ball. So when we evaluate these games going forward, we're going to evaluate his play. And if he played well, but the defense didn't, and we lost, that's one thing. But if he's throwing interceptions, if he's holding on to the ball too long, if he's staring down receivers, and he's playing horribly, I'm going to blast him. Now, what I want to know is what are the excuses going to be from the pro Winstoners? Because he's had a year to sit under Drew Brees. He's learned the playbook. He's had eye surgery. He's got one of the top offensive lines in the league. He's got some of the best weapons surrounding him, Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, all these different guys. What are the excuses going to be when he fails, if he fails? I hope he doesn't. Look, if he brings us to a Super Bowl and wins the Super Bowl, I'll be the first to say, hey, I was wrong, and y'all need to re-sign Jameis Winston to a 4 or 5 year deal or whatever. But that's not going to happen. The Saints are not going to go to and win a Super Bowl. Think about the teams and the players we're going to have to get past. We couldn't do it without Drew Brees. I mean, we couldn't do it with Drew Brees, and the fact that you think Winston is going to come in there and do it implies either directly or indirectly that you think Winston is better than Drew Brees, and that is absolutely insane. Think of the players that he's going to have to go through, the teams he's going to have to beat to get to the Super Bowl. We're talking about Tom Brady. We're talking about Aaron Rodgers. We're talking about Russell Wilson. We're talking about if you make it to the Super Bowl, you're talking about having to probably play Patrick Mahomes. I mean, I get that you want to give the guy a chance. Giving the guy a chance is different than already putting the crown on him as if he's got the resume to back that up. And he does not. It's not racist if you do not like a guy just because, you think he's not a good quarterback. It has nothing to do with his skin color. I was a Saints fan back when Aaron Brooks was our quarterback, and I liked him at first. When he started messing up a lot, I didn't like him. Furthermore, if you don't want Jameis Winston, but yet you want Russell Wilson, or before all the allegations came out against Deshaun Watson, and you would rather have Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson or even Teddy Bridgewater back, how does that make you racist? It's not racist. The thing is, you're just so obsessed with Jameis Winston for some reason that you think that anybody that says anything negative about him is racist, and that's just simply not true. When it comes to sports, racism isn't it's not the deciding factor whether or not players like somebody. For instance, all white Saints fans love Alvin Kamara. Why? Because he is good at what he does. If somebody's really good at what they do on your team, you're not going to just not like them just because of their color. That's absolutely stupid. So if you're one of those folks that's saying people don't like Jameis Winston because they're racist or whatever, just shut the fuck up because you're fucking ignorant. Now, let's move on to the schedule. We're going to go over I want to go run through some of these. Now, anytime every year when I predict the schedule, if I can get it to pull up here. Waiting for a second. Let's see. Every year when I predict the schedule, I always split the division just out of, well, crap. Let's see what's going on here. I always split the division and just say, worst case scenario, they'll win 3 of the division games and they will lose 3 of the division games. So just say 3-3 in the division. I just do that just for the heck of it. I mean, we could very well sweep Atlanta. We could very well sweep Carolina. Who knows? But there's also an issue. March 30th and 31st, the league is going to decide whether or not they are having 17 games this year, or if they're going to stick to the 16 game schedule. But dates and times have not been decided, and the order in which we're playing these teams have not been decided yet. But I'm just going to run through our opponents, and I'm going to tell you as it stands right now with the talent that we have heard about, that we have lost, and ones that we have signed. So looking at who we are so far as the 2021 Saints, I'm going to run through the schedule. I'm not going to count the division games because, like I said, we're splitting those. So we got 3 losses and 3 wins right now. We split all the division games. We look at New England. I know some of you are going to laugh at this in that game. It's going to depend on how healthy, how well. I'll put it to you like this. I'm going to say Dak will be playing, and he will come back healthy, and I think we're going to take an L in that game. The Giants, I think we're going to beat the Giants. The Buffalo Bills, last year, they're phenomenal. They've been trending in the right direction. Awesome defense, really good quarterback play. We're going to lose that game. The Miami Dolphins, they was 10-6 last year. They played really good, but I'm still going to say that we're going to squeak out a win against the Miami Dolphins. The Green Bay Packers, we're going to get shellacked. I can tell you that. That's going to happen. We're going to lose that game. The New York Jets, we're going to win. I think we're going to get our revenge on the Eagles. We're going to win that game. Seattle, we're going to get smoked. So that's a loss. And then, believe it or not, I think we're going to lose to the Washington football team, and I'll tell you why. That defense is ridiculous. And that defensive end they have over there, I forgot his name, but that defensive end is outstanding. So if you split the division at 3-3, and this is if the league doesn't approve that 17th regular season game, this is still a 16 game schedule. So if you split the division and you count the wins and the losses that I just laid out for my prediction, that puts us sitting right at 8-8. And I think that's exactly where we're going to be at the end of the year. And I think at best we'll probably be 9-7. I'm sure there's a game or 2 in there that we'll probably win that I wasn't expecting to win. But Green Bay, Seattle, Washington, Buffalo, Dallas, and the Patriots, I feel they're going to beat us. So that's just how I feel about it. And I can't wait to hear all of the excuses. I can't wait to hear all the reasons why this happened and this happened. The fact is, we've lost a lot of talent on defense. I do not see us being as good I mean, just the fact that we lost Jack Rabbit alone on the other side of Lattimore at corner. Now they're talking about signing Richard Sherman. If they do, that'll be good. But I still don't feel like Richard Sherman was as good as Jack Rabbit. And then you look at all the defensive linemen that we've lost. 3 of our best defensive linemen we lost. We lost Anzalone at linebacker, which he wasn't great, but he was better than a lot of the options out there. We did keep Marcus Williams, and we did re-sign Malcolm Jenkins, and we always have C.J. Gardner Johnson, which is really my favorite defensive player on the team, is C.D. Deuce. But that's going to be it for today. Let me know what you think. Please, if you haven't already, if you're viewing this video, please subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comment section. And if you have any questions or suggestions for a video, let me know. And that is going to do it for today.